one quick note. I don't follow like the true crime stuff. I love murder mysteries, like actually like films. Like I love Pierrot and I love, any like Knives Out was a great film. But the Gabby Petito, there is one aspect of this case though that I have found fascinating. And the aspect of this case that I find fascinating are all of these media outlets running all of these stories asking why this white woman is getting more media attention than anybody else. Now, ABC just ran a piece on this. Here's the headline. Gabby Petito case example of missing white woman syndrome, say experts. Now, hold up. You know how many articles ABC has? Just all you got to do is Google ABC and Gabby Petito. Holy wow. Headline after headline. I'm still in like 3 pages of headlines here from ABC. They always ask this. Do you realize that you're the media? You know this, right? A friend of mine was remarking on this just yesterday. I mean, you know that for all the people that are out there asking this, they know that, like, you're literally the media, like NPR. The media's focus on the Gabby Petito case has been frustrating for some people who point out that the epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous women doesn't get nearly the same media attention. You're literally the media. Why don't you give them the same attention? It's not the problem of the people who read the stuff you write. You're the people who write this. Do you see now why I so correctly said what I said at that CPAC? And the media got so mad at me because I said the media love tragedies. And I said the media loves mass shootings. I was talking about the tragedy of mass shootings. They ignore if it's underage gang crime. And I'm not saying to use it as some they never actually want to look at what are the legitimate actual causes that are driving, for instance, kids to get involved in gangs and get involved in drugs, etc. They don't ever do the deep dive in that because heaven forbid they actually do real reporting. No, instead they like to do the lazy status thing and always play the race card, which actually makes this whole situation worse. No, whenever there's something, and I said this on stage in front of all the media, and they couldn't believe that somebody said that, but I was absolutely true. I was as correct then as I am correct now. They love cases like this because they feel like they can use it to scare middle America and fearmonger and everything else. This is one of the reasons why, case in point, I was talking to a friend's mother about this. We talk on Facebook. And they've been very public about this on their Facebook pages as members of the Black community. They are justifiably suspicious when government pushes stuff like this. Because as I have said on these airwaves before, wherever you fall on the political spectrum, one thing that you cannot deny is that Tuskegee and those experimentations, that wasn't that long ago in our nation's history. For some people, that was their grandparents. For some people living, they know people that went through this, great-grandparents. So there is a history of distrust there. And what really I find intriguing is that we talk about distrust in the Black community with policing, but we don't talk about, at least the media won't really touch it, distrust in the Black community, justifiably so, of this kind of government mandated injections and science and medicine stuff, right? Nobody wants to have that conversation? I was talking with a friend of mine about this, again, my friend's mother, and she had made this comment. She's like, I get so mad at these stories. And I actually had messaged her because I saw that she got into an argument with somebody on Facebook because the person on Facebook that she was upset with, and this was someone that we knew mutually, keeps posting these pictures of these elderly or middle-aged, all white people, like, oh, wish we would have gotten the vaccine. And it's like the same 4 stories that the media recycles as a way to be like, look at these people. I'm not going to tell you anything else about their health and not going to say anything else as to whether they have comorbidities, but we're going to use it to fearmonger and make it look, these people are dying and they wish that they would have gotten the injection. And my friend had said, why do you never ever, you can't, the media doesn't, you don't have any stories about any black couples or any black older individuals going through this, do you? And I thought that was kind of interesting. And then there was a bigger conversation that was talking about how the media was afraid to discuss that the black community's hesitancy and why, the legitimate reasons as to why. And so it makes me think of this whenever you have these like tragic cases, whenever it's, I actually do think that there's something to this. Yeah. You don't hear about, young kids getting gunned down in Chicago because the media sort of accepts that as, oh, well, that's Chicago. And that's going to, you know what I mean? It's almost like evidence of their own inherent racism in the way that they approach these news stories. But then they blow something up like this. And I will say that there is a legitimate question as to, well, it's the left-leaning media that is always obsessed with the stories about, if it's a missing white woman or if it's a mass casualty incident at a white school or something like that. The left-leaning media, and let's not forget their political preferences, they always focus and obsess over their stories. But there's a very legitimate question to be raised as to, well, why don't you have those stories on, indigenous women that go missing? Or why don't you have these stories about children whose lives are cut short, in Chicago or elsewhere? But the media can't sit here and act like its audience that it prepares these stories for are the problem. You're the media. You're the people who are doing this and writing about it and and covering these stories. So ask yourselves, what biases do you have as it relates to ethnicity that prevents you from covering the stories you're asking to be covered? Makes no sense.